Welcome to Street Smart live and direct from Puerto Rico. My name's Gordon Holmes. I'm the founder and today's host. Today we've got a very special show. I'm very excited to present our first guest in a moment. But first, I want everybody to take a minute and look at the disclosures. Disclosures talk about that VSBY, the public company, has paid a fee to sponsor this, and that I own stock and Jay, the founder of VSBY, owns stock. So important disclosures. So hopefully everybody's had a moment to take a look at those. All right. Well, as I said, everybody knows what a pandemic is. Everybody knows about global security. So I am very personally excited to introduce Jeff Mueller of the Mueller Group. Jeff's company operates in 25 countries, and he's very distinguished and very special in that for 30 years he was involved in military leadership around the world with the FBI, Interpol, and I guess the fun one for me is he's also was in charge of weapons of mass destruction and monitoring all that. So Jeff, welcome aboard, and I think our audience is going to be very excited to hear what you have to say on what's going on in the world today. So
well, good afternoon, Gordon. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. I think maybe what I'd like to do today is just go a little bit more, little deeper into my background, and then talk a little bit about my company and our integrated technology solutions and how our partner VSBY is a core technology in both the security and safety fields. Just to back up a little bit, I started my professional career as an officer with the U.S. Navy. I graduated from the Naval Academy and went aboard ships where I did both weapons and engineering for a number of years. After over 5 years, I then went back to the Naval Academy and worked on staff as an instructor and an operations officer. In '95, I got out and went into the FBI. My total career there was just shy of 22 years. In the early days, when my knees were still good, I was able to run around working violent crimes on the south side of Chicago. I was a SWAT team operator and sniper, and then transitioned into counterterrorism after 9/11, like most of us did. And then shortly after that, I went back to really what my first love, which I had learned in the military, which was weapons of mass destruction. The FBI expanded to a full division or directorate level. So I was one of the co-founders, one of the plank owners in that program. And I worked on both the operations and the prevention side. And we grew that program. I ended up running all of the prevention activities, the countermeasures and prevention activities, where we would deal with all, at the time, 18 sectors of the U.S. critical infrastructure. We would work with the leaders of industry and leaders of government to identify vulnerabilities within the infrastructure, and we would then design solutions. In some cases, it was just protocol and process, but in most cases, it involved some level of integration of technology so that we could help protect our critical infrastructure in the United States. Many years after that, in 2008, I expanded that program while still with the FBI, expanded that program and founded the Interpol CBRNE and Critical Infrastructure Directorate. We expanded to working with all Interpol member nations, 190 member nations, and we kind of mirrored the same program that we had in the FBI and started working with other countries to help them protect their infrastructure as well. And in 2014, I went over and ran that program as the director over from Lyon, France, and we worked with about 155 countries total, assisting them. So that brings us quickly up to 2016, where I retired from the FBI and founded my company, Mueller Group International. Really what we started doing, both for the government and Fortune 100, was to do the same process. I partnered up with leading edge technologies And we started working both through government contracts and directly with industry on helping to protect their facilities. So essentially, integrated technology solutions. Examples of that would be where for school protection, for example, we would integrate up to 8 technologies involving biometrics, weapon detection, perhaps drones if it was an outdoor stadium, or drone countermeasures if there was a concern regarding those threats. And we would provide information to both first responders and to the personnel that are working, the teachers. For example, we have a gunshot detection technology that we have merged with the technology you hear more about today through visibility. And we can provide immediate information regarding a shooter in a school to both the responding officers and to the teachers, so that they can get an immediate message on their phone and understand within 1 second and 1 meter where the shooter in that school is. So instead of just locking a flimsy wooden door and having the children hide under desks, the teacher is actually able to be empowered with that information and lead the students away from the threat out of the school, so to safety. So that's an example of the type of integrated technology that we utilize. We've been doing that for a number of years, and we've recognized that with the demand, the level of demand we have, we want to have a more formalized company. So we're going to integrate with a number of the technology companies that we currently partner with, and we formed a new company called Prevenitas. And I'd like to show you a short 3.5-minute video which describes our overall concept. So if we can please cue the video, I would appreciate it.
Tomorrow's threat landscape is changing for governments and corporations around the world. As a result, risk managers can no longer rely solely on physical guns, guards, and gates to maintain safety or mitigate risk. However, with the addition of innovation technology, we are now able to rapidly enhance the security posture against various multidimensional threats, from cyber adversaries to asymmetric physical attacks. This looming threat landscape requires an integrated 360-degree perimeter approach that will grow with you as your needs and threats change, and only Prevenitas has it. Led by a team of global subject matter experts, Prevenitas senior leadership has served in critical roles with both FBI and Interpol, military intelligence, cyber ops, and private sector Fortune 500 companies. This experienced team can provide holistic solutions to every echelon of government, corporate, and private sector security. This breakthrough 360-degree multi-domain approach is called the Prevenitas Perimeter. This full life cycle multi-phase approach begins with a hands-on assessment and the creation of a customer-specific concept of operations. All of that is followed by a build-out and deployment of the most fitting innovation technology to meet the demands of the mission. The first pillar of defense is detection, using advanced facial and object recognition software that is paired with the world's most advanced optics, digital place-based media, and legacy CCTV installations. This SaaS solution can analyze and assess thousands of faces in a crowd and is tied to one of the most comprehensive databases with millions of potential threats. This software not only identifies persons of interest, but is also capable of recognizing top assault weapons in real time, using advanced machine learning and artificial intelligence. Detections and alerts are routed to an advanced situational awareness and command and control cloud-based Internet of Things platform. This patented IoT platform was designed specifically for public safety and surveillance and is capable of interfacing with more than 3,000 different IoT devices from more than 100 manufacturers. Codenamed 360 Awareness, this platform was designed to be a single pane of glass where you can remotely view and manage all of your assets, from people, cars, boats, planes, cargo, to real estate holdings. You can choose a customized global, regional, local, or personal view of the landscape from anywhere in the world, right at your fingertips and at your command. All in one integrated platform that not only decreases response time, but also reduces the need for manpower. 360 Awareness has interoperability and privacy built into it, allowing teams to set up an encrypted command post in minutes. The next 3 pillars of the Prevenitas perimeter incorporate innovations in drone detection and drone response, airborne and facility-based chemical detection, cyber operations, and dark web monitoring. All mission critical to most integrated security operations, making the Prevenitas perimeter best in class. And this is only the beginning. Prevenitas is constantly enhancing its portfolio and is the first place new technology is field tested, so we can identify and integrate the next generation of groundbreaking security techno-deterrence. Prevenitas, today's most advanced innovation technology, ready for tomorrow's looming threat landscape.
Thank you. So, Gordon, as you can see, we believe the days of the guns, guards, and gates, the old-fashioned security, is long gone. We need to be able to enhance security for our critical infrastructure, whether it's a company or a government installation or an electrical facility or a nuclear facility. We need to be able to utilize technology so that we can create quicker reaction time. We can use artificial intelligence so that our responders and the personnel, security personnel on site, can receive information much quicker so that they have the ability to prevent an attack and to respond to an attack. We've utilized this operationally many times. One of the first times where we integrated 8 different technologies into both an intelligence and operational command center was when we were brought on board by a security partner of ours who was working for Informa, which is the largest show production company in the world. It was specifically at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. We brought in 8 technologies, including visibility. We were able to utilize these technologies to provide enhanced security against a very specific threat that the owners were concerned about. And we were able to make sure that the event went off very safely. We've also worked with visibility to provide enhanced security for a number of Fortune 100 companies, including Google, at the Consumer Electronics Show. And we are currently working with them with the state of Texas to utilize their biometrics capability. And we're tying that in now against the current COVID threat. So we're able to utilize their technology, their capabilities, integrate that with thermal screening and a number of other technologies, and provide both the safety and security aspect to our clients. So with that, I'd like to introduce Jay Hutton, who is the CEO of Visibility, to specifically discuss his technology.
Hello. Thanks, Jeff. I mean, we have been an enormous beneficiary of the participation of Prevenitas and the Miller Group International because, you know, for us, we are one spoke in the wheel. And as Jeff has taught me, there are multiple spokes in multiple layers of security. Security is best accomplished, especially as it relates to physical perimeter security, in layers. And facial recognition or biometric capability is one of those layers. And so we've been an enormous beneficiary of that in multiple deployments, as Jeff has mentioned.
Yeah, Jay, could you talk a little bit about the company? Obviously, you're public, and a lot of our viewers want to learn about that. Could you give us a little background on Visibility?
Sure. We're a public company now, have been public since February of 19. We are, however, a 5-year-old company, having established our own. We started in 2016, 2015. We financed the organization ourselves through sort of the initial milestones, the minimum viable product, the first customer. All those initial stages were funded by the group of founders ourselves. And when we went public, we did so on the basis of a fairly mitigated risk platform. So we felt that we had dealt with a bunch of the risk already. We'd done as I mentioned, our first deployments. We validated our market model, validated our technology, and we're ready to access external capital for growth. And for us, it's been significant. We have really 2 discrete sides of the business. Today's conversation is principally focused on the security side, but we're a computer vision company. We teach computers and cameras how to understand what they're looking at. And this can be for the benefit of just basic core market analytics in maybe a retail location, or it can be applied to security when it's looking for persons of interest, people that are wanted, weapons, crowd behavior. Crowd is moving, a bunch of people are running from one place to another. All those metrics, all those capabilities, all those critical components have meaning in a security context. And we can provide alerting to an operator of what's happening in the field of view. This is critically important because, as Jeff will point out, the weaknesses of traditional surveillance point to multiple things. One, it is principally forensic. You're closing the doors of the barn after the horses have escaped. So you're looking for what happened. You're doing this on an archival basis, on a looking backwards basis, forensic basis. One of the things that computer vision does in the surveillance context is it provides real-time analysis of multiple tens of, hundreds of, thousands of streams, video streams coming from CCTV cameras for meaning and input, looking for persons of interest, looking for weapons, looking for crowd behaviors. All of that information provided to an operator instead of having the operator trying to derive that data directly from camera feeds himself. Impossible. We're overwhelming operators with too many cameras to look at. So it's perfect for this middleware of artificial intelligence. The same technology that's responsible for self-driving cars can be applied in the security context to identify things of meaning in those video feeds. So that's what visibility builds and deploys.
I don't know if you heard me, but I wanted you to talk about smart cities
Sure.
and what you've done in Mexico and how you took a very dangerous area and turned it into one of the safest areas.
Yeah, so that's a very important project for us, and it demonstrates the real significant and citizen level value that can be derived from the proper and appropriate application of artificial intelligence, computer vision. It started with the election of the new president in Mexico. He came to power on a platform of public safety and security. He wanted to take what was a dangerous country and dangerous suite of cities and make them less dangerous. So he started with a lighting infrastructure initiative. Well, the company that won the business to deploy that was Intelligent. They applied, in addition to doing lighting, they added camera technology, and they took that camera technology and brought us in to provide this artificial intelligence layer that I've been describing. So that instead of having a camera that is just providing a passive feed to an operations center, it's actually running through an artificial intelligence engine, looking for persons of interest, looking for weapons, looking for various critical metrics in the stream. The net is many of the most dangerous counties in Mexico City proper have become the safest counties in Mexico City proper as they deploy the cameras. We're on a 3-year program to do 40,000 cameras. We've deployed about 5,000 so far. And the net is in the counties where there has been the greatest penetration of camera development, 40% crime reduction. This is a meaningful citizen level impact. People feel safer in those counties. I'm speaking specifically of Coajimalpa, which is the county that's got the greatest density of cameras. They went from the 11th safest county in Mexico City to the safest county in 6 months. So it's had enormous impact. And for visibility, our objective is let's do more of that. Let's do more of that in Latin America and Central America. And so Mexico City has proven to be an enormously valuable benchmark or testimonial for the things that computer vision can do. And now, apart from COVID, even though COVID's happening, we still see momentum growing for those types of applications in Central and South America, where this problem is quite acute at the moment.
Right, very much so. And could you elaborate what your relationship is with Intel and where you see that going and how that's what that's all about?
Sure. In the artificial intelligence universe, you tend to have to sort of select a camp to play in. And the camp that we've selected to play in, when given two principal choices, NVIDIA and Intel. Intel is the largest chip manufacturer in the world, and we have been close alliance with them for several years now. And they build an artificial intelligence computer vision ecosystem that we use. We use that exclusively. And to us, it was a fairly strategic decision, but it has paid off enormously well. Everything we do is based upon and leverages Intel chipsets. Not only the core CPU chipsets, think Xeon, Intel i5, i7, i3, but also their AI chipsets built on the Movidius platform, what's often referred to as a VPU, visual processing unit. So we leverage both of those. And of course, commercially, Intel has been the largest source of our revenue in 2020. And will continue to be a strategic partner for us, as we're now just in the final approach on multiple projects which leverage Intel as the core component to those projects.
You've mentioned computer vision quite a bit. Could you give our audience a little better understanding? I mean, you've given a little taste, but I think that's an important concept.
Yeah, there's three components to computer vision. There's the camera, which we all know what that is. There's compute, and there's algorithms. Algorithms are things like we've developed formulas or software that can understand the difference between a male and a female and can, with great accuracy, determine the difference. We can also determine what the age of the person in the field of view is. That's another artificial intelligence algorithm. Of course, when you apply it into facial recognition, we're now doing reconciliation. If a person is in a database, biometrically speaking, we have an image of that person. We can match that image to persons in real time. They call it in the computer vision world, in the wild. So as someone is walking into a public space, we can scan that face and determine a ratio of accuracy. For example, I have a 75% certainty that that person we just saw at this location in real time is this person. And that's what computer vision does for us. You can see the applications in law enforcement because in Mexico City alone, there's 21,000 violent offenders that are currently not incarcerated just in Mexico City. So this is part of the reason that it's a dangerous place and part of the reason why computer vision is a solution to the problem. The second part of what computer vision does, we've learned that it has algorithms, software that runs on computers that are informed by camera streams. And what those algorithms can do was take those camera streams and draw meaning or inference from what's happening in those camera streams. An example would be a weapon. An algorithm can be taught how to identify a weapon and the differences between weapons, long gun, handgun, AK-47 versus AR-15. That sort of technology allows the algorithm to match an image seen from a camera stream to a database entry of a weapon, which allows us to then return a result like we have 85% certainty that what we just saw in this location is an AK-47. These have enormously valuable law enforcement impact.
And Jeff, would you be able to elaborate a little bit more on, how you see that fitting into your overall business, with facial recognition and how that ties into some other examples?
Yeah, sure, Gordon. So when we look at solutions for development, I look at it from the perspective of the end user, right? So my background obviously is law enforcement. I was a tactical responder, having to go into situations where I wasn't familiar with the facility, perhaps. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have information. What we like to do is provide technology solutions, integrate technology solutions into a single pane of glass. So as Jay was mentioning before, we're not looking at that end user to have to look at 5 screens to see feeds from 5 different types of technologies. We want to be able to integrate that into a single solution that they're looking at, overlaid on top of their current location, for example, or the facility that they're entering, whether it's via Google Map or satellite, and we can see within that facility exactly where the situation is. We can then provide that information both to potential victims that are in the facility, to provide them that situational awareness to be able to empower them to take their own action. Facial recognition is a key component of this. And an example would be if a school has an individual that they have expelled for fighting or whatever it might be, and they don't want that individual coming back onto the property, or if they do, they want to know about it right away. We can put that individual, we're not scanning every child in that school. We're simply looking at the individual that we're entering, the concern. And if that individual were to come onto the property via the perimeter cameras that are in place, for example, we can have an immediate notification and let the security personnel, the administration know that that individual is there, and that they can therefore be empowered to make decisions, preventative decisions, perhaps. So that's really what we look at when we do the technology design.
Okay.
I'd like to add to that, Gordon, if I could, because this is part of the wisdom of the vision of Prevenitas and MGI. The idea of connecting these multiple complementary technologies together. And I'll give you one example. Jeff has in his technology suite shot detection. Shot detection is really important. It's acoustic level triangulation of where a shot may have come from, which is an enormous problem when it comes to active shooter events. Where are the shots coming from? Because that helps you identify a path to safety, etc. So what if we were to connect data coming in from a shot detection system to facial recognition, so that not only can I provide situational awareness, where's the shot coming from, but can a camera pick up an individual that's taking that shot? Enormously valuable. This is how the technologies get connected together, and this is why it's incredibly important to provide those multiple layers of security, as we've been discussing.
Yep. Okay, we've had quite a few questions, but a couple that I'm going to ask you guys is, somebody is asking, where can they see that video? Obviously, there'll be this will be up on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to see it there. But Jay, is that on your website, or?
That's a Prevenitas promotional video, and it's probably available on YouTube. But I think Jeff might host it on his site, but not on the visibility site.
Yeah,
Okay.
they can access it on prevenitas.com.
Okay, great. And then Jay, this is kind of where I was going to go in terms of as an investor, always looking for catalysts, looking forward to, where's the business going to be growing? And we've got a question that's come up a couple of times. With the compelling results out of Mexico, what's going to, catapult this? You've got 5,000 locations. That's great, but gosh, this should be, all over Mexico. Mexico City is not only the only scary city in the world. There are plenty of them.
Not the only one.
Yeah, exactly.
Just as a litmus test or a barometer, there were 10,000 smart cameras in Mexico City, and before we showed up on the scene, and it took 10 years to deploy those cameras. 10,000 cameras, 10 years. And if I was to go into the economic model, it would blow you away. They spent so much money on the first 10,000. Since September, actually, more accurately, since May of 19 to today, so that's just over a year, maybe a year and 3 months, we've deployed 5,000 cameras. And 7 of those months is COVID. So we're actually really pleased with the pace that we're going. And speaking more broadly, the attention that camera network has gotten, not only in Central and South America, but other places in the world, is overwhelming to us. We're now perfecting the market model. We're now working on Gen 2 of the type of architecture we're deploying, and that'll be live probably next month. Speaking to some of the critical components of that, cheaper infrastructure, more ubiquitous network connectivity means that we can do more cameras with less money. And we're doing our first deployment of that generation of technology next month in Mexico. And we're looking at other countries in South and Central America that are adopting similar technology. So I'm not terribly unhappy with 5,000 at this point, because given the traditional pace, we're eclipsing it significantly, and we've got significant growth ahead of us in the same region, and now looking to at least 1 or 2 locations overseas in other regions that are looking to do the same thing.
Great. I remember when I first met you, you were showing me video screens. And the example I would give to my friends is I'd walk into a Walgreens and there would be a video screen and it would look at me and it goes, oh, this is a male. He looks like he likes red wine. Let's send him over to the special on red wine. Or it's a young child. Maybe they want a video game, or a woman looking for something else. Haven't heard much about that. Is that still, I think in the very beginning, that was like a monster part of your business model.
And it's
where is that? Okay, talk about that.
The largest deployment the company has done in its history was to have started in May, but for a bunch of reasons that perhaps we don't need to go into, it didn't start in May, but it did start in July. And it's with the largest retail drugstore in the USA. It is a deployment sponsored by one of the largest pharmacy companies in the world, and it has been going incredibly well. The objective here is to build, and I'm going to go super retail geek for a moment, but we build a intelligent end cap. That is a smart shelf at the end of the aisle that identifies persons that are approaching, male, female, age, and plays what you might call bespoke messaging to those persons. This is artificial intelligence. Instead of achieving a security outcome, achieving an analytics outcome, so that we can actually provide custom messaging by gender or age in real time. And that is an exploding marketplace. We took a breath in retail, no doubt about it. The second quarter, nothing happened. But right now, perhaps certainly the largest deal we have in the company's history is right now on final approach, and all of it is computer vision. Interestingly enough, it is visual display, which is part 1 of what we do. It is anonymous analytics, so identity dumb analytics. We pick up demographic data, but not identity. And it's security. So that's the 3 pillars of what visibility stands for: visual display, data analytics, and security, all delivered under a retail context. So this is exactly the vision that we've been talking about since the beginning, all these things merging together. So to answer your question, we haven't forgotten about, nor have we paid less attention to our retail business. It's right now delivering a greater cadence than the security business at the moment. Although the security business is now beginning to pick up because of everyone's coming back to work.
Gordon, if I may add to that also,
Please.
That integration, we're actually utilizing that. We're working with a number of the largest providers or owners of truck stops, for example, and we're working with some of the largest human trafficking human trafficking organizations in the world to be able to utilize customized kiosks, NCAP kiosks, within those facilities, so that we can enter a lost or in extremis child or any type of victim of human trafficking. So what we want to do with that is set up a nationwide network of these types of systems so that we can have immediate notification if we identify one of these victims.
Wow, amazing. So Jay, as we get ready to wrap up here, can you kind of give investors out there some catalysts, or what you're, obviously, we don't want non-public information, but as you've intimated here a bit, the retail is coming back strong. You've got this, and I was unaware of the thermal temperature detection for COVID. So kind of, if you could give me a little, year end, and the next, first quarter of 21.
Sure. I'm an investor as well as a tech founder. And I know that in my career, I look for the diamonds in the rough. I look for the companies that are just ready for that breakout. And even though you kind of expect me to say this in many ways, I will back it up. I will say this without any fear of recrimination. this year, Visibility will do more revenue than we have in the last 3 years, last 3 years combined. And next year will be the considerable breakout year for the organization. We'll do, and you look for companies that are at that inflection, which is precisely where we are. A lot of the proof of concept, initial deployments, pilots, those are behind us. Now, pilot is a swear word in our organization. We're talking about production networks now that are generating revenue. And so if you're looking for the things that are going to crystallize and really fine tune the message of Visibility in the next several months, very significant digital network for retail, which combines security and the traditional retail metrics that we've been talking about. A reimagination, Gen 2 of our Mexico contract, which is going to create a brand new economic model for how we deploy our technology in Latin America. And I guess the third component is growth, not only in Latin America of our security implementations, but domestically, our retail stuff is beginning to light up quite significantly. So retail deployments, security momentum, Gen 2 of the network configuration modality in Mexico City, and of course, further momentum in Latin America, Central America with that same sort of model.
Great. Well, I love breakouts. Jeff, just one last, insight from you. As I said, I live on the island of Puerto Rico. Theoretically, it should be pretty safe and secure. But any, insights you could leave our audience, and last comment on Visibility.
Sure. Thanks, Gordon. So we currently have a global pandemic. We have significant civil unrest in the U.S. and across the world. And we have an economy that is kind of a roller coaster. So I think those three things speak to the fact that the world isn't getting any safer. I'm not a doom and gloom guy, but I think we need to be able to utilize these technologies that are available to provide enhanced situational awareness to the general public, to law enforcement, national security professionals, so that they can help prevent crime. And that's what we're looking to do. And Visibility is at the absolute core. And what I love about it so much is that it can be utilized in many, many different vectors, as Jay's spoken about. So that'd be my closing.
Great closing. And Jay, any last word before we call it a wrap?
I'd like to thank Jeff for his kind words, and I do believe that there is a synergy between our organization and his. In particular, the one deal he mentioned in the state of Texas has got us in a brand new lane, and we're very optimistic about our ongoing technology synergy with Jeff and Jeff's people.
Great. All right. Well, we'll look forward to some of those catalysts and another episode of Visibility. So with that, I'll say this is Gordon Holmes signing off from Street Smart Live.
Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you.
Jay.